a minute to spare. The worst thing about this,
Yeah, I agree. Can we not have a t-shirt and shorts version of this, man? I'm good with it. Meet out on the lawn. Get shit done. Save me a lot on driving.
Good evening and welcome to everyone. I want to welcome you to the May 28th, 2024 meeting of the Rome City Commission. We start our February meeting with a prayer and pledge to the flag. Tonight I'm going to ask Commissioner Mark Cochran if he will lead us in that. We would ask if you'd like to stand. Thank you.
If you'd like to, please join me in prayer. God, we come before you today, and we ask for your wisdom and guidance, temperance. We ask that you put into our mind foremost the day that we just honored our fallen veterans yesterday, Father Memorial's Day. Father, we ask that you help us and guide us, help us to make wise decisions, and not out of haste and not out of hate, but just guide us in everything that you do. In Christ's name, amen. Amen. Place the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Cochran. Mr. Clerk, if you will, call the roll.
Sir. Mayor McDaniel.
Here.
Mr. Bojo.
Here.
Brock. Here. Cochran.
Here.
Beeman.
Here.
Dawes is not with us. Commissioner Quick.
Here.
Collins.
Here.
Robinson.
Here.
You received the minutes of the May 13th, 2024 meeting. We will approve those by common consent. We have no proclamations tonight. We have no registered guests. We do have two resolutions. I'm going to call on Commissioner Quick to read our first resolution.
First resolution, be it resolved by the Rome City Commission and hereby resolved by the authority of the same, that is the intention of the Rome City Commission to close a portion of Medical Drive Northeast, a street as shown on the sketch attached. Medical Drive Northeast being a 50-foot right-of-way street that runs northerly from Three Rivers Drive to its termination point at a cul-de-sac, being the following described property in Rome, Floyd County, Georgia, and conveys said property to the adjoining property owner, the Rome City School District, for the total of $1 and other goods and valuable consideration. Said property to be closed and conveyed is described as all that tract or parcel of land situated, lying and being in land lots 154 of the 23rd District and 3rd section of Floyd County, and being in the 1st Ward of the City of Rome, Georgia, and being more particularly described as follows. To find the point of beginning commence at the extended right-of-way Three Rivers Drive, having an 80-foot right-of-way for a bearing of north 1 degree, 54 minutes, 28 seconds east, and the easterly right-of-way of Medical Drive, a distance of 214 feet to a point thence continue to north 1 degree, 54 minutes, 28 seconds east, along the easterly right-of-way of Medical Drive, a distance of 108.71 feet, to a point which is the point of beginning. From that said point of beginning, proceed along the cul-de-sac, along a curve concave to the left, an arc district or distance of 52.06 feet, having a radius of 53.11 feet, and being subtended by a chord which bears north 88 degrees, 5 minutes, 32 seconds west for a chord distance of 50 feet to a point on a cul-de-sac, said point also being a point of the westerly right-of-way of Medical Drive. Thence proceed 1 degree, 54 minutes, 28 seconds east along the westerly right-of-way Medical Drive, a distance of 307.91 feet to a point beginning of the cul-de-sac on a westerly right-of-way of Medical Drive. Thence proceed along the curve concave to the left, a distance of 23.73 feet, having a radius of 29 feet, being subtended by a chord which bears north 21 degrees, 31 minutes, 54 seconds, west for a chord distance of 23 feet to a point of reverse curve on the westerly right-of-way of Medical Drive. Then proceed 238.9 feet, having a radius of 50 feet and being subtended by a chord which bears south 88 degrees, 5 minutes, 32 seconds east for a chord distance of 68.35 feet. There will be a quiz on this. To a point on the easterly right-of-way of Medical Drive, said point also being a point of reverse curve on the easterly right-of-way of Medical Drive, then proceed the curve concave to the left arc distance of 23.73 feet, having a radius of 29 feet, and being subtended by a chord that bears 25 degrees, 20 minutes, 49 seconds west for a chord distance of 23.07 feet to a point of tangency of the easterly right-of-way of Medical Drive, thence proceed south 1 degree, 54 minutes, 28 seconds west, a distance of 307.91 to a point which is the point of beginning. Tract or parcel contains 0.541 acres and is described in accordance with Tract C of the right-of-way dedication survey, plat prepared by or for Rome City Schools by Southern Engineering and Surveying Incorporated and certified to by Kenneth M. Reynolds. A reduced copy of the aforementioned plat is also attached hereto in the area highlighted. Be it further resolved that such property is to be quitclaimed subject to all agreements, easements, and rights relating to the utility, drainage, and other functions across, under, or over such property. Be it further resolved, it is hereby resolved in that this resolution shall be advertised as required by law, and if, at the end of such publication, no object is made, the said Rome City Commission will proceed by ordinance to make such disposition, and the chairman and secretary of said commission shall authorize to quitclaim said properties to said parties above and terms described herein.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
And that comes as a motion.
That comes as a motion, yes.
How far west was that?
We have a second. Any discussion? Mr. Clerk, call the roll.
Sir, Commissioner Bojo,
Yes.
Brock. Yes. Cochran,
Yes.
Beeman,
yes,
Quick,
Yes.
Collins,
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Item B, a resolution for the COAM moratorium withdrawal. And I'll call on our attorney, Andy Davis.
Mr. Mayor, what I would request on this is that you move this down on the agenda after you have considered the second reading of the COAM ordinance before you lift the moratorium. This resolution is drafted assuming that you would pass the COAM ordinance, and then at that time you would lift the moratorium on COAMs. The moratorium would remain in place under this resolution for vape and vape shops and in order to continue to study those and look at zoning provisions that will need to be necessary there. So I would just ask you, I'll raise it after we've done the other ordinance.
Understood. Thank you. Under first reading,
Yes, sir, we do have two items for first reading tonight. The first one is a street closing ordinance. You may recall 4 or 6 weeks ago, you all adopted the resolution to start the process of closing the street off of East 14th Street. We're now in ordinance format and on first reading. We'll have this on second reading and for a vote on June 10th. The second first reading item is our assembly permits ordinance. This has most recently gone through the Public Safety Committee. It's been revised by that committee, and it's now before us for first reading tonight, and that item will also be on second reading on June 10th.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Item 8, second reading, is our coin-operated amusement machine ordinance. And I'll go back to our city attorney, Andy Davis.
Mr. Mayor, this is an ordinance that you all had asked us to prepare and to work with. We have been in negotiations and had discussions with an attorney representing the coin-operated amusement association. They have approved this. I've talked to the lawyer representing the largest master license holder in Georgia that has looked at this ordinance, and we've also been talking to Georgia Lottery Commission, and we have clarified for a number of the operators what the moratorium meant, working with the clerk's office in the last few weeks since you all imposed the moratorium. This follows state law. It is drafted following what the Georgia Municipal Association and the Association of County Commission have approved, and also there are approximately 80 cities or more in Georgia that have a very similar license. This will require that those that operate a coin operating amusement machine, where they have those located, that they'll have to put who the license holder is. The master license holder and their address will have to be identified. There is a provision under Georgia law that'll need to be in a conspicuous spot, which basically says that Georgia law prohibits giving or receipt of any money for winning a game or game on an amusement machine, and it talks about that, you know, it's a $5 limit. Under the new law, those would be gift cards. The provisions that do apply in here are that I was asked the question before the meeting. This does not, just because a location has a coin-operated amusement machine license, does not prevent that same location from being able to sell alcohol as long as they meet the ordinances of the City of Rome. That has not changed. So those regulations will remain the same. What this will require is that those that operate coin-operated amusement machines will have to register with the city clerk, and that the report that goes from the coin-operated amusement machine by computer to the Georgia Lottery Association, Georgia Lottery Corporation, will also have to be provided to the City of Rome, and that no location will be able to have more than 50% of its revenue from coin-operated amusement machines. It cannot have more than if it's in a convenience store, for example. 50% of the revenue has to come from other things than the coin-operated amusement machine. There is an amortization or a year's sunset provision within the City of Rome. Georgia law now limits that you can limit to 6 machines. Prior to that, there had been 9 machines, and so Georgia law and this ordinance gives those that are operating now a year to, if they have 9 machines, to reduce down to 6. The other provision that is out there is if their machines are in a back room or in a room that is not easily accessible or in plain view when you walk into the store, that'll have to be removed so that those using machines will be able to sit there, and if someone walks in the store, it would be in plain view. There are other provisions. The main thing about that is and the other aspect is the occupational permit fee that locations already pay for. It's just now that the coin-operated amusement machine revenue will be calculated into that, and that will be a factor going into that. I expect that the tax assessor's office is going to be looking at these machines and assessing on a personal ad valorem taxes as that. There are, if an owner or an operator fails to abide by these, there are provisions for penalties and violations. If there is a hearing where somebody has been cited, then the city of Rome is following the exact same procedures for hearing that we follow for alcohol control. And that would mean that those that would be cited would be able to appeal to the Alcohol Control Commission and have a hearing and be provided due process that way. The fines are authorized by Georgia law that we've included in here. No fine is over $2,000, which is the limit that the city of Rome can impose fine. The chief of police or his or her designee, the police can go in and inspect. The clerk's office will be involved in that. The clerk may authorize an audit of any one location, just as it would do similar to a hotel motel audit, in that you would have to be able to prove that you're not making more than 50% on COAM machines. And what the attorneys for the association tells me is that is automatically reported through the computer, through the Georgia Lottery Corporation, so that is something that's going to be handled. Georgia law just changed. The governor just signed it. It used to be that had to be provided monthly. Now it's going to be quarterly, and this ordinance adopts that to make it quarterly. The first report will be due this year in July, and then it'll be due quarterly after that. Other provisions are, general provisions that we would have in regulation. There can't be any loitering. As we've seen in the past, there have been some Alcohol Control Commission violations because some establishments have had where patrons were using these machines and they were drinking alcohol, and that's prohibited. That's a reminder so that, those that operate the coin-operated amusement machines need to make sure that all of their personnel know that that's prohibited. They can't be drinking while the patrons are using the machines. The licenses and the permits are non-transferable. There will be some the same distance requirements to churches, schools, and other establishments that we have in the ordinance for alcohol and for permitting for alcohol will be applied here. And that is, and when a new location comes to apply, just like an alcohol establishment, they will have to bring a survey showing that they meet the requirements of that. And I think I've covered most of the provisions in the ordinance. I hope I've explained it well enough. But if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
I have a
Thank you,
question,
Mr. Attorney. I will entertain a motion.
So move. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion to my right among the commissioners?
Mr. Attorney, I just
Collins?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Attorney, as you heard me say in caucus that 99% of these here machines that are in our city is owned by Indian population and one black. I visited more than 7 of these here coin-operated vineyards, and out of the 7, I asked, did they understand the ordinance? Probably 6 of them had never really even heard of it. It's been in the paper, I think, once or maybe twice. And most of the time, it's either a family member or one of the workers that was working the store, so it didn't mean that much. When I consulted with them over the past week, it was their first understanding that something was coming down the pipeline, having everything to do with regulating these here machines. The sense that I had from that was, it wasn't they was afraid of the regulations as much as they was that the penalties that involve in misdemeanors that could affect their business life going forward. as far as the fines, et cetera, and even possibly revoking their license. It was also the language about putting a big sign up telling all their patrons that they cannot pay out any more than $5 now, and that was by a gift card. I don't think I read that in the governor's report. Matter of fact, the state of Georgia, the governor is encouraging more cities to get involved with coin-operated machines because it's paying out a great deal of money to the educational system. Their concerns led me to ask upon this commission to possibly pump the brakes for a minute, give them time to be brought up to speed. That's exactly what it is they were facing. And I think I heard the mayor say that the attorney's been in conversation with the attorneys and the master holders from the state of Georgia, and that they should already be well versed and know these here laws. But as you can see, they're very interested in their livelihood, et cetera, by them showing up here tonight. I have another concern because, as I've heard over conversations coming from some of the commissioners as well as the mayor, that these coin-operated machines are used by people that can least afford it. So I took that to heart, and I went out into the community and talked with some of those people that visited these stores. And again, I found a great deal of minorities going in those stores. And I shared with the commission today that it's apparent to me through the conversations that I had with these people that were going and visiting these adult amusement centers, that it was like a relief for them. They got off from work on a Friday after working all week, and they wanted the opportunity for their wife to have a place that maybe she could enjoy a machine or play these games, or their husband, or just someone maybe want to come in there and entertain themselves with such a device. And they said, I hope that by you guys regulating these here, it won't take the opportunity away from them to be able to do this here. I don't know how Ding Ding got a bad name, coin-operated, become Ding Ding machines, and got such a bad name in our community. At the same time, where the leader of our government is encouraging more of them to be put throughout Georgia. It's a great deal more than 80 cities in the state of Georgia, a great number of them. I'm just concerned for the regulations as well as the way they're drawn up, that it could force some of these here businesses completely out of business. Tell you why I think that. The mayor said today, you asked a great question last week. I think the clerk and the mayor said is how many billions of dollars raised by our community alone?
I don't remember, I think it was $100 million over a period of time, Andy, 100 million?
Yes, sir.
That's by this community alone. And that's how many machines, 80?
I think that was statewide. I don't think that was just, I don't think that
The
dollar
total
amount.
number statewide is $1.4 billion.
No, that was out of Floyd County.
The amount of money paid to the lottery is 10%. That means the people that run the machines get $1.26 billion, and the communities get nothing
Right.
at all.
But the reason I asked the question was, Mr. Clerk, I said, do you think at any point in time that you have ran these licenses, because they have to pay by their gross receipts, that any, if you put them all together, would measure up to anything numbing $100 million? He said, not even a third. I just felt that looking at that picture, those numbers don't match up, and it spells trouble for them to continue to operate in this, under these here regulations. And that's a concern for me and these guys' family. And I understand if the commission must go ahead and vote to impose this without giving due diligence to these guys that understand exactly about the ordinance, then
Anybody to my left?
I want to ask a question, because I thought when the machines came into operation, they were supposed to utilize the winnings for being able to purchase items in the store. Is that correct, or am I wrong? Is that what the purpose of?
That is the law, but under the new law signed by the governor, it is allowing gift cards, and those gift cards will be able to be used in other locations. And it's $5 for one win is the max. But the gift cards can accumulate, and they can use those. But under the new law, they will not be limited to just within the store. As I understand what the governor just signed in, the gift card expands it further.
They could use it like you use a Visa or MasterCard.
I think so.
When it says that only 50% of the, I guess the winnings has to come from, help me understand that.
It's the revenue that it's producing, the total revenue that it's producing. 50% of that can only, for the store itself, they cannot exceed 50% of its revenue off of the COAM machines. Meaning that they got to sell, whether it's gas, whether it's bread, water, soft drinks, alcohol, whatever else. No, that's not. Well, alcohol.
It's not a public hearing,
Yeah, okay.
not a public hearing.
But in terms of the overall revenue, it takes into consideration the other sources.
In other words, it has to balance itself out, right?
Yes.
Also, the county commission is meeting tonight. The county commission will be entertaining a similar ordinance. City of Cave Spring will be doing the same thing. I want to commend the city attorney. When we first brought this up, we had found out that the city of Cedartown was in the process of enacting an ordinance within the city limits prohibiting any additional convenience stores. And so we came back and discussed it here. We didn't do this in knee-jerk fashion. Over the last 3 or 4 years at Georgia Municipal Association, where every city in the state of Georgia participates, these discussions about we never called them COAM machines, we call them ding-dings. The ding-ding machines have been discussed, and about the amount of money that are coming out of the communities. The Association of County Commissioners of Georgia, they have also been discussing this, and I've had conversations with the county commissioners here. So it's an issue that's prevalent all across the state. Our attorney has been in conversation with the attorneys with the Georgia Lottery Commission. The commissioner of the Georgia Lottery is from Rome. I've had conversations with her. There are things that you can do and you cannot do. The lottery is based in statute It was passed by the Georgia General Assembly. Locally, we don't have a lot of control about what we can do and we cannot do. I think this body as a whole, or maybe not as a whole, felt like we needed to get some control over this and also the vape machines, or the vape stores. And so this is a first step. I didn't know that 80 other cities in Georgia were ahead of us. So we're not the first out of the gate. Other cities are doing this. Out of 159 counties in Georgia, I will almost guarantee you that over the next 3 or 4 years, every city and probably every county in the state of Georgia will follow, to some extent, suit what we're doing here. In my mind, what the state of Georgia did, without taking it to the voters, was they approved casino gambling. And I don't agree with that. I personally, my values don't align with that. I don't like it. And so this is a step for this body to say we're not going to do that in the same manner that we've done it before. The rules have changed. You can continue to operate the convenience stores. The rules have changed a little bit. There's a burden on us to monitor through our law enforcement and through the clerk's office what we're doing. But I would hope that this body as a whole would get on board and support this ordinance, just as the county will tonight, and just as the city of Cave Springs will at some point in time. Mr. Clerk, if you will, call the roll.
Sir. Commissioner Bojo,
Yes.
Brock. Yes. Cochran,
Yes.
Beeman,
Yes.
Quick,
Yes.
Collins,
No?
Robinson.
Yes.
Ordinance passes. Thank you.
Mayor, if you would consider
back to the-
the resolution.
Mr. Attorney, if you will address that, the resolution.
Yes, as a reminder, we had a moratorium on COAM machines and for stores that would operate with vape shops or vapor shops, and all of those that sort of fit within that group, so that we could study it for zoning, for public health and safety. And since you all have passed the COAM ordinance, we have redrafted the resolution to where it would only now apply to those stores that are, would be in the vape or the vapor shop business, so that you all can continue to study it, look at zoning requirements, look at the requirements being enacted for regulatory purposes, and possibly licensing fees for those types of stores. So the moratorium would now only apply, if you pass this resolution, to those shops, and it would be lifted on the COAM machines.
I'll entertain a motion to withdraw the moratorium on the
So
COAM
moved.
machines.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Any discussion to my right?
Just a quick question, Mr. Mayor. That means that the ones that are seeking to have these coin-operated machines in their stores can now continue on the path to, if they build in a store, to have these machines come in.
I can address it, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner Collins, yes, the moratorium would be lifted, and in order to, for a store to seek a coin-operated amusement machine, they will now have to comply with the city ordinance that's in place, but also in order to do that, they have to get authorized through the Georgia Lottery Commission and follow that same process. And most of the store owners and operators understand that, and we've actually worked with a number of store owners and operators through the moratorium that had things in place to help work with the Georgia Lottery Commission in the last month or so that there were some stores that had things in process, and through the clerk's office, our office, and in dealing with the Lottery Corporation, those stores are able to move forward too.
Joe, how soon will they have to come in and get their license?
Well, they could come in and get their convenience store license at any time now. And now that the COAM moratorium has been lifted as of tonight, there wouldn't be any roadblocks. It'd be back to business as usual. But as city attorney said, with our new COAM ordinance, there will be regulations they'll have to comply with.
And the existing people that have these machines have to come in at what point?
Well, a license is going to be, a separate license is now going to be required for COAMs. And I believe, Andy, unless you have a reason why not, we plan to implement that as of July 1, being the halfway point in the year.
And that's when the first report would be due that
Right.
would quarterly would report to the Georgia Lottery Corporation.
Any discussion on my left? Mr. Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Bojo?
Yes.
Brock? Yes. Cochran?
Yes.
Beeman?
Yes.
Quick?
Yes.
Collins?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Okay, we have nothing continued on first reading. We do have some public hearings. And Commissioner Quick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first in the public hearings is item Z24-05-04. It is a request to rezone from community commercial to high-density traditional residential for the property located at 1315 Dean Avenue, Rome, Georgia, 30161, Floyd County Tax Parcel J140145. This comes with a unanimous recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission.
Good evening, everyone. This property is outlined on the map shown on the screen. It is developed as a site-built single-family home that was developed long before the adoption of the ULDC. The request is simply to be able to maintain it and be able to pull building permits to do renovations. This is the third property on this block. This map needs to be updated. You recently approved this one. We're now moving to the front side, facing Dean Avenue. It will continue to be used as a residence. This does come with a staff recommendation of approval as well as unanimous approval from the Planning Commission. I have heard that these folks will be out of town this evening on a family matter, so I don't believe there's anyone here to speak. This is looking in from Dean Avenue. Looking south on Dean Avenue. North on Dean Avenue. And directly across the street. Thank you.
I declare the public hearing open. Is anyone here to speak in favor of? Anyone here to speak in opposition of the project? I declare the public hearing closed.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a recommendation we approve this request.
Second.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Bojo?
Yes.
Brock? Yes. Cochran?
Yes.
Beeman?
Yes.
Quick?
Yes.
Collins?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Second item, Mr. Mayor, is SUP 24-05-06. It is a request for a special use permit for a funeral home to provide crematory services in an office institutional zoning district at 2516 New Calhoun Highway, Rome 30161, Floyd County Tax Parcel K13X005. This also comes with a unanimous recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission.
All right, once again, the applicant property is outlined on your screen. The proposed unit would be installed in a garage here on the back side of the building. Did include some documentation from the Department of Public Health. This is a zoning map of the area. The staff report. The application itself. These are renderings for the proposed device. Full maps provided by the applicant, aerial drone image. Site plan showing where the proposed unit would be in the back of the building. This is a letter that I provided from the Department of Public Health that it essentially says that any toxin levels, accumulated by such a device are low and are quickly broken down by sunlight and wind, thus not causing a public health hazard. We did measure that the nearest dwelling is approximately 600 feet away. This is looking in from the highway, looking south, looking north, and looking directly across the street. This does come with a staff recommendation of approval as well as unanimous approval from the Planning Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Bryce. I hereby declare the public hearing open. Is anyone here to speak in favor of? Sir, if you will, give us your name and your address.
Hey, good evening. My name is Kyle Kaiser, and my address is 241 Wayside Road in Rome. And I am the applicant and the owner of the business and the property. Our business has been around a long time, and about 60% of our customers choose some form of cremation eventually. And we want to be able to offer more of those services in-house. So that is why we are submitting this special use permit. I'm here to answer any questions that you may have as well. I appreciate you all.
Thank you. Anyone here to speak in opposition? I declare the public hearing closed. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve this request.
Second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Bojo,
Yes.
Brock,
Yes.
Cochran,
Yes.
Beeman,
Yes.
Quick,
Yes.
Collins,
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Let's see.
Commissioner Quick.
Make sure I'm on the right.
10C.
Item C is Z2405-07. It is a request to rezone from multifamily residential to suburban residential for the property at Collier Springs Road. That's Rome, Georgia 30161. Floyd County Tax Parcel K15X2652 and portions K15X259, K15X264, and K14Z001. This also comes with a unanimous recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission.
All right, the applicant properties are outlined on your screen. However, they're not entirely being rezoned. This is the area to be rezoned, outlined in, I'm going to call it turquoise. Part of the property is already zoned multifamily residential. Much of that would stay except for this property outlined. It will be rezoned back to suburban residential if you choose to approve it. The total property is approximately 300 acres. The area to be rezoned back to suburban residential is 182 acres. It would allow for, approximately 465 single-family homes to be placed on that portion, approximately 200 in the first year, or phase one, I'm going to call it. That means the total development would be approximately 900 units, down from the 1231 that was previously proposed. This is the staff report itself, the application itself. The applicants will also be seeking a variance at next month, or multiple variances at next month's Board of Adjustments. This is information provided by the applicants. They gave very detailed responses to all the questions on the application, which is much appreciated. Excuse me. This is their proposed site plan. So as you can see, to give you some scale or reference, this is the Walmart. The area behind the Walmart would continue to be townhouses with access onto Highway 411, a point of access or ingress and egress along Collier Springs next to the Walmart, and one further up here at the top of the hill on Collier Springs Road. The area to be rezoned would be laid out for single-family homes. They also included access to the river back here for the residents. This is the area to be rezoned. A colored site plan. Was some question at Planning Commission about there was a previous condition placed on it about having ingress only at the top of Collier Springs Road. Staff has removed that condition pending a traffic study that would be required to be done anyways by GDOT. These are some renderings of what their homes could potentially look like, various models. Zoom back in. These are some pictures provided by the applicants. Some rendering of the property and as it relates to the location of the battery plant and a couple other items like Grizzard Park. Some renderings provided by the applicant. These are pictures just looking into the property from Collier Springs Road, this one being at the top of the hill. Looking over the hill. Directly across Collier Springs, looking down the hill, looking in from the highway. Excuse me, the bypass, to be more specific. We did receive one email from one of the, I'm not even sure if he's a neighbor, but he had an opinion, wanting pedestrian access to the Walmart. Even if we did require these people to do it, there's no guarantee that Walmart would build the portion on their property. So just FYI. Planning Commission chose to put a recommendation that if Public Works would approve it, that there be a left turn exit at the top of the hill on Collier Springs. I'll be the first to admit I don't like that idea. I think it's premature, and an arbitrary stop is not the best possible option. However, these gentlemen were kind enough to try and draw it up and design it after Planning Commission made that ruling. This does come to you with a updated staff recommendation of just a blanket approval. We will look at any sort of conditions that need to be placed after the report of the traffic study is complete. So the staff gives blanket approval, and the Planning Commission approved with the possible condition of a 3-point stop at the top of Collier Springs Road, at the high point on Collier Springs Road, if Public Works were to approve it. Thank you.
I hereby open the public hearing. Anyone here to speak in favor of the project? If you will, give us your name and your address. You've got up to 10 minutes.
Kenneth Wood, 900 Circle 75 Parkway, Atlanta, Georgia. We have some handouts. Do you guys want to, are we allowed to give you guys those?
Handouts are great.
Okay, fantastic. So this is there a way to go back to the screen so I can actually make sure I'm on the right slide for you guys?
And I'll remind the commissioners, this is a rezoning. We're not approving the site plan or design or anything like that. This is simply a rezoning request.
Sorry, I'm coming around the horn. I don't want to say. All right.
Thank you.
I'll use this one. So it's a kind of an interesting property where we've been working on this a long time. Love the story. Love what's happening in Rome. Everything coming basically down 411, around 1, Berry College. Every bit of the growth that's coming. A lot of the cool projects. This project sets up really well, and as we got into it, we received a lot of the materials for the previous zoning, and the previous zoning was that it's all RM, so all multifamily. And in the ordinance, the way it's set up is the entire 300 acres, it had a pod of apartments, a pod of townhomes, and then a large pod of townhomes, and then the last pod that we thought was single-family detached, they actually had to be, in order to comply with the ordinance, they had to be attached with a shed. And so that made them multifamily. And so as we got into it and started looking at market studies and just what's the best thing for the property, you know, the river is very special. It's a beautiful piece of property. When you walk it, you get down on the lower shelves, you get up on the higher shelves. It has a lot of intrigue to it and can be really amazing asset for the city of Rome. And so we got to looking at, well, what would we need to do? And what we need to do is be able to do single-family detached and not all multifamily. And so in our current drawings, we've actually even gone away from the apartments on the bottom and had townhomes on the bottom, and then we want to do a large cluster of single-family detached. But in order to do that, it would require a rezoning. We actually looked at, is there any way to do a variance to the existing RM just to be able to not have the shed? And talking with staff, there's not really a way to do that. So this is probably the first downzoning I've ever done in all the places I've been. But that's what it is. It's actually taking it from multifamily RM, lowering the density by about actually 375 units and getting it to the single family that you see. Lots of amenities, stormwater, open space. We're still way over 50% open space on the overall. Just on the top portion alone, we're over 40. We don't want to, perform an entire dock and everything, but we want to be able to have just kind of a gravel, as you see there, to be able to put in a paddle board or put in some type of like a kayak into the river, be able to come down to your other park that's there, or go into to the city. But great walking trails. It sets up with the ability to really do a lot on the property. And that's one thing we were faced with was, the best way to make this the best property. And we really feel like what this plan does. In terms of the access, there's a lot of discussions about the access on the top. We agreed we're doing a full traffic study now to the GDOT standards for all the access. We're going to need it for the 411 access, but also to look at that top one. We had a lot of good suggestions. We talked to, as we're looking at the golf course, and we're talking with Mr. Miller up there about what's the best thing to do. And we talked about, is it a three-way stop? And then we looked at rumble strips going all the way into the county. And I know we got to talk to the county about that, but given some detection as you're going down before you go on that curb. And so that's what currently we have proposed there, is a three-way, but it will be evaluated, as Bryce said, where we'll turn in the traffic study and see what their recommendations are based on the conditions out there about what to do. But we're glad he brought the safety conscious to our mind, because now we can look at it, and we told the traffic engineers to take that into account, the curb and coming up over the hill, even if you're coming back the other way, and see what type of suggestions that they have for that. And, with that, I can take any questions, but we really would love to have this down zone, because we really think that having single-family detached and not just all attached product, we thought with it's a lot of topography out there, and the detached can move with the topography. You can have some basements, side daylight, different ways of dealing with it, but when they're all single-family detached and you're having to attach them with the shed, it becomes very awkward with grade and looks kind of funny, and so we're not able to figure that out. So we hope you like this plan and agree with that, and I can take any questions you guys may have.
I have a quick question. What's your general price point range on these? What's your price point range?
Oh, so they would be around 320 and then going up toward 400.
Okay.
Would be where we were looking at starting on those. And the towns would be that 320, and then the single family or the closer to the fours, 380.
Thank you.
When would you start the project?
So we would love to beat bad weather in January. And so depending on what happens in June, we'd probably look to submit plans somewhere in the end of July. And so we'd love to get started, kind of like November-ish, October, November, when it cools off. But Atlanta and Rome seems like it continues it seems like the weather's going nicer longer, and we're getting colder longer in the spring, it seems like, the last few years. But we'd definitely love to start it if we can during this year. If not, it would roll probably closer to March.
Okay.
Looks good.
Anyone here to speak in opposition? You will give us your name and address, and you got 10 minutes.
All right, I'm Grant Miller at 2637 Cowrie Springs Road. I'm also speaking for my neighbors and for the golf course. I'm not necessarily speaking against the zoning, so I'm not for that, but I actually want to ask to be included with the zoning intents to be able to look at and work with the developer to slow down traffic and look at the infrastructure around the area. The roadway is not exactly to all standards for a county and city roads. There's some guardrails that should be in places that should have already been there years ago, and there's so much there that needs to be done with the roadway. I think the residents will be more prone to be accepting this project if some work will be allowed to be done in part or by the developer or with help from the city and county. So I'm hoping that with this zoning, we include that intent to be able to look at addressing those traffic issues, making people feel safer when on that roadway. Because as you all know, we've all driven it, and it is not exactly, the speed limit's still clocked at over 40 miles an hour. The signage still says 40 miles an hour. People come down there going about 40 and go into that curb. And there's not signage indicating they need to go slower. There's so much that could be done to help mitigate the traffic issues on that roadway, to help support us, a project like this, because this is a beautiful project. I think we'll get a lot out of it if we could make these roads safer for everybody that will potentially live there or are living now. So I just would like to ask if we could include and make sure we all work with everyone we need to, Public Works of both city and county, and make sure we get this roadway and any other infrastructure issues addressed as we're going into this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else speak in opposition? I close public hearing, entertain a motion. Motion, need a second?
Second.
A motion and second. Any discussion? Mr. Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Bojo?
Yes.
Brock?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Beeman?
Yes.
Quick?
Yes.
Collins?
Yes?
Robinson?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Good luck with this project. It's going
Yes.
to benefit for Rome and you guys.
And I think the DOT study is going to help a great deal. We'll move on to item D, Z24-05-09. It's a request to rezone from community commercial to urban mixed use for the property at 314 East First Avenue, Rome, Georgia 30161, Floyd County Tax Parcel J14E0112. It also comes with a Planning Commission recommendation of approval unanimously.
All right, so this is the property outlined. It is the old warehouse. It's currently under renovation. It's at the Kingfisher Trailhead. The request is to rezone to urban mixed use to allow for, actually been pretty tight-lipped about what they're going to use it for, but it opens it up to a lot of possibilities. As you can see, the existing building fails to meet any setback, any sort of landscaping requirement. It predates zoning by many, many decades. This is the application itself. This is looking into the property. They have already been before the Historic Preservation Commission to look at adding a parking lot on the side of the building to be able to provide what is possible. This is looking down towards Central Plaza, directly across the street, and looking back towards Broad Street. This does come with a staff recommendation of approval and unanimous approval from the Planning Commission. Thank you.
Clear the public hearing open. Anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone here to speak in opposition? I close the public hearing, and I will begin the motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion we approve this request to rezone from community commercial to urban mixed use.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Did you say that this is in historic preservation?
It is. It's already received HPC approval.
Yeah.
Sir. Commissioner Bojo?
Yes.
Brock?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Beeman?
Yes.
Quick?
Yes.
Collins?
Yes?
Robinson?
Yes.
Carries. Mr. Clerk, do you have anything?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Manager?
Mr. Mayor, I have no report.
Mr. Attorney?
I've reported enough, Mr. Mayor.
You did great, thank you. Under my time, the Joint Services Committee will meet Tuesday, June the 4th at 9:30 a.m. in the Floyd County Administration Building. Commissioner Bojo, or Mayor Pro Tem Bojo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Finance Committee will hold a special call meeting Monday, June 10th, 3:30 in the Sam King Room. And the Water and Sewer Committee meeting scheduled for Thursday, June 6th has been canceled. That concludes my report.
Commissioner Brock?
Yes, I've got one thing coming out of Public Safety Committee, and it's the inmate housing agreement. Something we need to approve and update, and I think Sammy, maybe. Yeah, happy to do just a quick. We're coming off of a 10-year agreement that expired at the end of '23, where the old agreement had a $15 booking fee and a $40 per day minimum inmate charge. The new agreement's a 4-year term with a $25 booking fee and a minimum of $65 per day inmate fee. Everything else pretty much remains the same. That comes out of public safety as a recommendation.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Any discussion? Mr. Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Bojo?
Yes.
Brock?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Beeman?
Yes.
Quick?
Yes.
Collins?
Yes?
Robinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cochran?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Doss is not with us tonight. Commissioner Quick?
What about Commissioner Beaman?
I don't have a report, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Don't roll then.
I got on a roll and I was just trying to get to the bottom of the thing. Not intentional.
I know you can't miss me.
But just make up something. Commissioner Quick?
I just have one meeting announcement, Mr. Mayor. The Rome-Floyd County Planning Commission meeting will meet Thursday, June 6th, 2:30 p.m. in the Sam King Room. I was going to give you all of the specific coordinates on travel time to get to the Sam King Room, but I'll forego that with the interest of time.
Commissioner Collins?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Robinson?
I have no report, Mr. Mayor.
Good meeting. Thank y'all. We're adjourned.
He has every single time. I don't know if it's a requirement or not.